Hi, it's Congressman Adam Schiff, and I thank you for joining me today. I have an announcement to make, as you may have seen. I'm running for the U.S. Senate in California. I believe that we're in a critical time in the history of our country when our democracy is still very much at risk, when the economy is simply not working for millions of Americans, and the failure of the economy to work for so many people has led some to consider alternatives, like a demagogue who comes along and says that he alone can fix it. These issues, I think, are existential, along with saving our planet. These are the issues that I've devoted myself to in the House, and that I want to champion in the Senate. For several years now, as you know, I've been at the center of the fight to preserve our democracy, leading the investigations into Trump's misconduct with Russia and then Ukraine, impeaching Donald Trump and serving as the lead House manager, but also importantly after that vicious attack on our democracy on January 6th, participating in the bipartisan January 6th committee that demonstrated, I think, to the country how close we came to losing our democracy, the role of the former president as well as so many of his enablers in Congress. I want to continue that struggle because I don't think it's over yet. But I also think that the economic challenges are really intertwined with the challenges to our democracy. All around the country, people are working harder than ever. All around California, people are working harder than ever. All too many of them are seeing a quality of life that is less than their parents. They have profound worries about their children and their children's future. Tens of thousands of my fellow Angelenos in Los Angeles alone are without a home, and this is obviously a challenge throughout the state of California. We can do better than this. We have to do better than this. The result, I think, of these economic disparities is this vulnerability of our democracy. And the reason why I think our economy is simply failing to function is a conscious choice that policymakers have made. When during the pandemic I fought to increase the child tax credit, that had the effect of lifting 40% of the kids in poverty out of poverty in this country. That simple change in the tax code, which ought to tell us a couple things. It ought to tell us that we don't have to wait for some kind of bolt of inspiration from the heavens to figure out how to address poverty, how to address income inequality. Some of the answers are really quite simple, like increasing dramatically the child tax credit. But also ought to tell us that this is a policy choice that we're making, and it's the wrong policy choice. I want to use whatever ability I have as your champion in the Senate to fight for an economy that works for everyone, to fight for our democracy, and to fight for our planet, the three existential challenges of our time. So really delighted to be with you today. Look forward to your questions, and let's see what people are asking here. Thank you, Kevin, for the support from San Diego. Much appreciated. Let's see. What have you done to protect climate, an issue that is so important for many? I remember the first time that Nancy Pelosi became Speaker, her first incarnation as Speaker, saying to her that we can't move too fast when it comes to attacking the problem of climate change. At that time, I was proposing an Apollo project-like effort to wean ourselves off of fossil fuels. And ever since, that has been a passion of mine. I'm proud to support the Green New Deal. We need to move expeditiously to attack this. And I think that creating this new green economy is not only vital to the planet, it's also vital as an economic matter. We led the world in the telecommunications revolution. The revolution underway now in energy is even more significant. It's a larger part of our economy and the global economy. This is a planet imperative to save our planet. It's also an economic imperative. It's a health imperative. We're poisoning ourselves with this reliance on fossil fuels. It's a national security imperative. If we want to strip Russia of the ability to make war on its neighbor, then we need to strip Russia of the petroleum wealth by devaluing what it has under the ground, by investing in alternatives, and that has always been my priority, and it will continue to be. I'm also, while we're on the subject of the planet, a big proponent of open space. I've devoted myself to more than doubling the size of one of the largest urban parks in the country, the Los Angeles Santa Monica Mountains Recreation Area, and open space and the environment are a big passion of mine. I said Kevin McCarthy was kicking me off the committee, and that's dangerous. Why is that dangerous? It is dangerous. This is unprecedented for a speaker to be messing with the membership of the Intelligence Committee, one of the most important national security committees in the Congress. What it will do is breed distrust of the intelligence agency towards Congress. They won't want to share information that we need to keep the country safe because they won't trust the committee if Ken McCarthy is going to play games with it. Similarly, while stripping me off the committee and another great member, Eric Swalwell, McCarthy is establishing, at the behest of these QAnon members of his conference, a select committee on the, quote, weaponization of the government. This Orwellian-sounding bastardization of a committee is essentially designed to be a deep state conspiracy theory committee that will have access to classified information. And the combination of creating that monstrosity and populating it with the most extreme members of his conference and stripping responsible people off the House Intelligence Committee is again going to mean the Intelligence Committee won't share things with Congress that it should, and that will leave our country vulnerable and policymakers blind when they're making decisions. So terrible precedent, part payback for taking Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar off committees last session when they were encouraging violence against their colleagues, but also part of an effort to prevent accountability. McCarthy evidently thinks that I and Eric Swalwell, my colleague on the Intel Committee, have been too effective at holding them accountable. And I think this is also an effort to attack that. Let's see, how can I help with the campaign? AdamSchiff.com is our web address. And please go to AdamSchiff.com. We're looking for people to be involved, to host virtual house parties up and down the state. We would love to have your active participation in the campaign in any way you can. If you're able to contribute, that's wonderful. Our average contribution is around $20, but in any form, we would love to have you part of this team. And let's see, anything else? Any other quick last questions? Well, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate your support and very proud to announce that I'm running for the U.S. Senate in California.